Over the past few weeks on this channel, I've been talking a lot about the power of Instagram Reels for growth, and in particular how posting Reels helped me gain over 1,500 followers in just 1 month. And so I've had lots of requests to create a tutorial showing you exactly how I make my Reels. Especially targeted for those of you who are just getting started and maybe don't have any background with making videos on TikTok. This is gonna be the complete beginner's guide to creating viral-worthy Reels for Instagram. But I wanted to take it a step further than that. I didn't want to just show you how to film and edit the videos. I wanna talk about strategy so that you're making Reels that are actually gonna have an impact on your growth. So I give you my ultimate guide to creating Reels. I'm gonna be sharing all of my secrets and hacks for creating videos that get views, comments, likes, and shares. And I'm not kidding when I say this can seriously help you grow. I went from gaining about 250 followers a month back in November and December of 2020 to gaining over 1,500 followers in January of 2021. So this can have a serious impact if you execute it correctly, which is what I'm gonna show you how to do. We're gonna go over why posting Reels helps you grow on Instagram, how to plan your Reels and come up with ideas for them, how to actually make those Reels, including a step-by-step tutorial, and how I schedule my Reels so that I can stay consistent and post them every single weekday. All of this together is that strategy that helped me get so much growth in January, so you are not gonna wanna miss it. Hello, hello, hello. I am so excited to be sharing this absolute beast of a video with you today. Do people still say beast? Oh gosh, I probably sound like a millennial, don't I? Lately over on my Instagram, I've actually been talking about some of these generational differences that I have been learning about through TikTok. And I polled all of you to ask you if you knew that side parts, skinny jeans, and using this emoji are now out of style. Let me know in the comments if you were aware of this. I've been hearing about this sort of thing on TikTok for a while, and I for one am not going to give up my subtle side part because you don't even want to know what it looks like. Dead center, I've got a weird cowlick. Anyway, I am going to cling to my youth for as absolutely long as possible, and I'll have you all know that as a 96 baby, while I am definitely right in the middle of the cusp between being a millennial and being a Gen Z, I definitely identify as a Gen Z, even though they constantly make me feel like an old woman at the ripe old age of 24. Anyway, speaking of trends and keeping up with them, we are talking about Reels today. Before we get into my step-by-step tutorial, which you're gonna love, I wanna talk about why we're putting so much effort into all of this anyway. Why you should be making Reels for Instagram. Reels are pretty much the best growth strategy that we currently have for Instagram right now because of the way the Reels algorithm works and the way the app is set up. In case you're not familiar, when you post a Reel, even if you don't post it to your feed, which I would recommend that you do, it is potentially gonna end up in that Reels feed, which is now that dead center button at the middle of your screen. This is a feed where Instagram is curating videos for you, not based on who you follow, but based on what you're interested in. And so as a creator, this means that you have ample opportunity to get your content in front of the eyes of new people who might not be following you yet. But they are the perfect potential followers because supposedly they're seeing your content because they are interested in the kind of content that Instagram has determined you are making through the hashtags you use, the other metadata surrounding your video. And so because of how this all works, it is the perfect way to gain new followers. And what's really cool about this is you can use all of these amazing Reels that you're making for Instagram and you can repurpose them and post them on TikTok as well. And TikTok is a super important platform for all of us to be focusing on because it gives you access to that exact same kind of huge viral growth. Plus, I just think on principle, as someone that's trying to keep up with social media marketing, it's important to be aware of the new apps and the new trends that are going on. And TikTok it's not even really that new anymore. It's pretty well established. So it's important to start migrating over there and creating content there as well. If you're not already convinced that you should be making Reels for Instagram, all you have to do is check out the video that I made about how much it impacted my growth in January of 2021, and then come on back here and I'm sure we'll be on the same page. Next up is how to plan your Instagram Reels. One of the things that a lot of people really struggle with is coming up with the ideas. Especially if you scroll on TikTok at all, you'll think, oh my gosh, these teens are so creative. How are they coming up with this hilarious content? Especially when I would personally recommend posting Reels a lot more often than you're used to creating other content. Because when you do it with a high frequency, like I did last month, that's when you really start to see that super fast growth. And so you're basically setting out on a mission to brainstorm like 20 to 25 reels that you're gonna be trying to post all within the span of a month. So that's a lot of different pieces of content to come up with. But trust me, it doesn't have to be as scary as it sounds. Here are a few quick tips for how I come up with ideas for my videos. The first one is to try to think of any lists that might be helpful to your audience, like lists of your favorite productivity apps or mindfulness practices or self-care activities or new shows that you're loving on Netflix, whatever makes sense for your audience. That's a quick list. These tend to perform really well. I have a number of reels where I've listed apps or quick engagement strategies for Instagram, and these have gone over really well because they're really quick and really consumable, and it's something that people can apply almost immediately after watching the video. So honestly, you could probably make like a third to half of your content these list style videos. I know a lot of people feel like it's cheesy, this whole pointing around the screen business, and especially for me at first, I felt like it was a little bit lazy. I'm like, couldn't you like talk about it or show some B-roll or something? But I have tried those things too, and the pointing around the screen, it just seems to work. People seem to like those videos. So, you know, if you can't beat them, join them. So try it for yourself, and I think you will see that they just work. And they have the benefit of being very easy to make. Another way that I come up with ideas for reels is by browsing TikTok and seeing what the latest trends are. I've said it before and I'll say it again, the reels feed is really just like TikTok 2 weeks ago, and I gotta say, I love browsing TikTok. That is where I'm gonna default going if I'm just trying to kill some time and be entertained. And the stuff that you find on TikTok is fresh, it's new. If you recreate it in a way that makes sense for your brand and put it on reels, chances are it will do well. The way I like to do this is when I'm browsing my For You page, if I come across a funny trend, then I will send it to myself via like TikTok message, and then my message thread with myself will essentially be like a long stream of potential video ideas. So sometimes I'll even send it to myself with a little message that says like the text that I would replace like in the text in the video, or like the angle that I would take with it. Because obviously with all this TikTok stuff, you're not gonna be directly copying someone. You've gotta take the trend and then remake it to fit with whatever your audience is or your own take on the situation is. And the third way that I come up with reels ideas is just asking myself, what are some quick wins that I can share with my audience today? What are some really easy pieces of advice or tips that can be applied within, 10 minutes or a day of seeing this video that can actually make a difference in my viewers' life or business or social media practices or whatever. Because of the limiting length of reels, you gotta make sure that whatever you're sharing is super impactful and very applicable to somebody's life, or else it's really easy to scroll past, or if it takes you too long to get to the point or deliver the value, they're already gone. So make sure that you are providing some really valuable information really quickly and concisely. Once you have 20 to 25 ideas written down, either from TikTok inspiration, listicles, quick wins, then what you're gonna do is pull up a calendar. You could either use Trello, Notion, whatever makes sense for you, or good old pen and paper, and you're gonna slot these ideas into, I would recommend at least every weekday, maybe even daily if you're up for it. And then from there, you can slot in the rest of your content. So I would still recommend posting a few feed posts and planning some live streams and that sort of thing, but you can work it around your Reels content, which is gonna be the majority of what you're making. Now that we've got all our ideas ready, let's jump into how to actually make these Reels. All right, let's get our phones out and I'm gonna show you exactly how to create a Reels post for Instagram. So to access the Reels creator on Instagram, you're actually gonna navigate over to your profile, and then you're gonna press the plus button in the top right-hand corner. From here, you're gonna see a menu with actually all of the different kinds of posts that you can create for Instagram. I actually find this really satisfying because it's like everything all in one minimal place. Anyway, we're gonna tap on Reel, and you'll see what it brings up is a page that looks very similar to Instagram stories. I'm gonna walk you through what all these different tools mean along the left-hand side. So at the very top, you see 15 in a circle. If you tap on that, it changes to 30 seconds. So this basically allows you to determine the length of your reel. Personally, I always change them to 30 seconds because I don't know, why limit yourself to a shorter reel, right? The next one here is music. So if I tap on that, it pulls up the music menu, so I can select from different genres. I personally always look at the trending section because people tend to engage with and watch videos for longer if it's music that they're familiar with. So it's generally good to choose something from the trending page. There's lots of fun options in here. One thing I'll say about the music thing, some of you may have experienced, if you have a business account on Instagram, that recently they changed the permissions around who can use music. So you might not be able to access regular like pop music anymore, and your menu might just be the sort of stock music from like the Facebook music library. I can't really tell you a hack around that, unfortunately. I think Facebook/Instagram is still trying to get their ish together when it comes to who can use what music. But in my opinion, if they take away like business accounts' ability to use the copywritten music, like Reels is gonna die, because nobody wants to watch Reels that have like copyright-free music in the background. That's just my opinion, but anyway, what you can do is you could always just create your videos in TikTok and then import them into Reels as custom audio. Anyway, that is how you choose the music to go along with your reel. The next thing is speed. So if you tap this, you can see there's a lot of options that come up, and basically this just allows you to do slow-mo. So if I choose 0.3 and then film myself, and then we go over to edit, you'll see it's in slow-mo. Oh, and the audio is also in slow-mo. And similarly, if I change that to like 4 times and then I record myself, we'll do it for a little while because it's gonna be really sped up. And then I go over to edit, you'll see it's now chipmunk. So anyway, that's all speed is. Effects is a really fun thing. You can actually use Instagram story filters on your reels. So here's me as an alien, for instance. So yeah, you can do some really cute stuff with that. Or if you use the same effects/filters on all of your Instagram stories, and you can make sure your reels are consistent with your brand too. Then there's the timer. This is really helpful because you can set the timer to only be for like a certain amount of your entire reel or of the song. So this allows you to make sure that your cuts or your transitions are going to be at the moment in the music when you want them to be. And it also means that you can press start and walk away from the camera, and the recording will start and stop without you having to actually touch your phone. So it allows you to do way more different shots of yourself. The next cool thing that actually pops up now that I've recorded a previous clip is this little align tool. So you'll see if I bring this up, it kind of has this transparent version of me in the background. So that's really great if you're doing a transition where you're changing your outfit and you want to be in the same position. Now I can kind of use my phone, and it's a little bit difficult, but I can line myself up kind of close there. Anyway, you get the idea. You can like roughly make sure that you're in the same position as you were in the last frame of the previous clip. This is actually something that I have not been able to figure out how to do on TikTok. So to me, this is where Reels has a little bit of a leg up because it's a very, very useful feature. So that's a bit of an overview of all of the different functions and features of Reels. Let's go ahead and show you a specific example so you can see how some of this stuff works together. So I'm going to create a little transition Reels showing you all the podcast gear that I use to produce my own podcast creator club. All right, so I'm going to open up Instagram and go to my profile and then open up the Reels editor from that plus button there. And the first thing I'm going to do is actually change my duration to 30 seconds because I like to not be limited by the length. Then I'm going to choose a music track to make my reel to. So I'll normally pick something from trending, or if I have a specific song in mind, I'll search for it. Then you can actually change the section of the song that you use for your reel. And then now I'm setting up a timer, and once that timer starts recording, I'm just gonna do my little dance here, and then it stops and I do the motion that I want to use to transition to the next part of the reel, which is when I'm actually going to be holding my microphone. So once you record a clip, you can see that I've gone in to watch it back, and then I just tapped on edit clips, and that allows me to actually trim off the beginning and end of it until I'm happy with it. And once I like how it looks, I'm actually going to start a new clip. So I'm just setting up the timer again to the section of the song that I want to record for, and I'm going to grab my microphone. And now I'm using the align tool, which is that bottom button on the left-hand side, which gives me a little bit of a transparent overlay of my previous clip. So I'm able to line myself up and make sure that I'm in the exact same position that I was in the previous clip so that the transition lines up really nicely. So I finished that clip off by snapping, but I know that I sort of snapped before the recording actually ended. So I'm going to play it back, and I see that my transition from having no microphone to holding the microphone looks good. But I want to trim my second clip so that my snap actually happens at the end of the clip. So then when I start my next clip snapping, it all lines up properly. So I'm just trimming the end there. Then I'm gonna click trim or tap trim and then go back and record my next clip by again setting the timer to the length of time that I want to record for. And then I'll tap on set timer, and then I will tap on the align button once again so that I can see where I was at the end of the last clip. So here I am just lining myself up. This can be a little bit tricky, but as long as you're pretty close, it'll look good. It doesn't have to be exact. So I'm lining up my face there, and now I'm going to start that timer and try to snap as soon as the clip gets started. But as you notice, I sort of snapped after the recording actually started, so similar problem to the last one. So I'm just going to go in again to edit clips and just trim off the beginning of that clip so the snap is happening right at the transition, and that is just going to make it all line up how it's supposed to. I'm also trimming off the end there, and now I'm going to go back, and once I'm happy with how it looks, I'm going to grab my headphones and I am going to set that timer once again, and again use that align tool to get myself in the correct position so that my transition lines up cleanly. So just checking myself out in the camera here, and then I'm going to set my timer. And now I'm just going to try to do the same motion that I was doing at the end of the last clip. It's not going to be perfect right away, and that's exactly why the trim clips function is so helpful. So I'm going to just watch it back now, see how it looks. I'm pretty happy with these transitions that I did the first time around. They're looking good. But once we get to that headphone point, you can see that it's a little choppy. So I'm going to tap edit clips in the bottom left-hand corner again, and I'm just going to trim off the beginning so that I'm at the same point in that motion that I was at the end of the previous clip. And now we're going to play back the whole thing and see how it looks. And that transition looks a lot better now that I've trimmed it. And we're ready to go. Alright, so now that I've recorded all of my clips, I'm going to show you how I add text to the screen, and I change the duration of the text so that it doesn't just show up the entire time. You may have noticed as I was going through, I was editing the duration of clips. That's something that you can do as you film in Instagram Reels, which is also very convenient because it allows you to make those transitions really nice and clean. But if you recorded everything and it's all complete, you could always go back and just tap on edit clips. And as you can see, I can select any of these and I can either delete them or press a little scissors button to change the length of any one of them. But I was doing that as I went, so I'm happy with that. I'm just gonna tap done. So now if I wanna add text, all I have to do is tap the little A button in the top right-hand corner. And for this, I'm gonna write my podcast gear, I guess. We're not gonna make this overly fancy for the example. So I'm gonna put it kind of where I do this with my hands. And so if I just tap on that like gray box near the bottom of the screen, that sort of represents the text box that is my little podcast gear note, right? So what I can do is drag the ends, and now what I'm doing is I'm kind of determining how long it's showing up on the screen for. So I'm actually gonna make it just show up a second after we start. And then, yeah, I'm happy with that length, so I'll press done. Now, another cool thing you can do is if I select this, I can actually animate it if I tap this button here. And if I press done, you'll see that it kind of pops up. So my personal preference is not to animate the text, but depending on the kind of video that you're making, it might look cool. So I'm just gonna wait for it to come back around. That's the one thing about editing these, is you kind of just have to watch it play through, and then when it pops up again, I'm gonna select it and then deselect animation and just have it show up like normal. So now I wanna add some more text to explain what each of the pieces of gear that I'm showing are. So I'm gonna type in the name of my microphone. I think it's this, but I could be wrong. Good enough for the example. And I'll probably just switch it to white background. Okay, and then I'll let it play through, and then I'll tap on that gray box again, and now I'm gonna just adjust it to show up here, and I think I'm actually gonna move it on the screen. You can go back and forth between each of those. Okay, now I'm gonna change the duration again so that it goes away when I snap like that. Okay, perfect. Now we'll just type in the third one. That's good. And then again, I will set the duration. And I'm just gonna make it a bit bigger, put it here, and we'll have it stop there, whatever. Even though this video is only really partially done. Okay, one thing that I'll note, just so if you start doing this and you notice it, don't freak out. I feel like Reels is just a bit glitchy. You can see all of these text boxes in this sort of like half opacity thing, and they kind of will go like, I don't know, in and out, whether or not it shows it that way. So anyway, it always looks a little bit messy, especially when you're doing a lot of text, but don't worry about it. It won't show up like that. If I actually press share and then I save it as a draft, and then if we pop back in there and press edit, yeah, now you can see that it's showing up how it actually will when you publish it. All right, awesome. So the same way you can with text, you can add stickers, like any of these that you would normally see on Instagram stories. It's a little bit more limited though, because there's no like interactive ones. You can add GIFs, you can add the time, whatever. You can draw on it too, but that is gonna be permanent. You can't like time up the drawing. And that's pretty much everything that you can add onto a reel. For the most part, you'll probably just add text. When you're done, you can press share. And then what I normally do is I just save it as a draft, and then it's gonna be in my drafts for when I want to post it later. Once you have your reels created, now it's time for my favorite hack, which is how I schedule my reels. Now, you might be a little bit surprised because technically there is no way to actually schedule Instagram reels. In the Instagram Creator Studio, there's no integrated way like there is for IGTV, and third-party apps like Later also don't have this ability, but there is a really easy workaround, and this is truly what keeps me consistent, because if I was just depending on myself to remember to post every day, I would never get it done. So what I do instead is I open up trusty Later, which is what I use to schedule all of my Instagram content, and what I'm gonna do is schedule in the cover image for my reel. Speaking of cover image, this is something else that I get asked about a lot, because if you scroll through my feed, you'll see that it is pretty cute, I would like to think, and very like branded. There's certain colors used. I kind of have a bit of a checkerboard pattern going, which is a bit surprising considering how many reels I post, because most people associate reels with sort of like, not so great looking cover images. So here's what I do. Since I have my whole calendar planned out, that's what allows me to create this checkerboard pattern, because I'm kind of aware of what's getting posted before and after a certain piece of content. So once I've determined what kind of cover image I'm gonna be making for a given reel, what I'll usually do is I go to this site called Social Squares, which is a stock photo library that I have a paid membership for. And I'll look for an image, usually something like a phone sitting on a colorful background or some kind of cute flat lay, and I'll bring it into Photoshop. And what I'll do is I'll cut out the blank screen on the phone, and then I'll grab a screenshot of my reel, and I'll take that screenshot into Photoshop and line it up behind the screen of the phone. Then I'll crop the whole thing to be 9:16, which is the aspect ratio of a Reels cover. Finally, I'll save that image as a JPEG or whatever, and then I will upload it into Later. If you don't have Photoshop, you can definitely achieve a very, very similar look with Canva. Actually, some of my Reels covers are made in Canva, so sometimes I'll do that flat lay kind of look with the reel screenshot in the phone, and sometimes I'll just do a straight up plain background with a title. Kind of depends on how the rest of the feed is starting to look. But then what I do to actually schedule my reel is I'll upload that cover image into Later, I'll drag it onto the calendar, and that's where I'm gonna write the caption, I'll put in any hashtags, and I'm gonna schedule it as a notification post. Then, when I get the notification to my phone, I'll tap on the little Post Now button, and it will open up Instagram, and it's gonna ask me, do I wanna post on my feed or my story? And I'm actually gonna tap on the X in the top left-hand corner to just go out of that posting screen. Then I'll navigate over to my profile, go to the Reels tab, tap on Drafts, and inside my drafts, I'll go and find the reel that I plan to post today. I'll open it up, I'll paste in the caption that has been copied to my clipboard automatically by Later, I'll tap on the little cover button, and I will add in my cover image, which has now been saved to my camera roll. And that is it. Then I'm just gonna press post. I'm gonna make sure that I post it to my feed, and I'm good to go. So this is the best way to schedule your reels so that you remember to post them and that you can stay consistent. And at the end of the day, it's really not that much more complicated or difficult than just posting like a scheduled carousel feed post. So like I've been saying throughout this whole video, Reels are super important when it comes to your growth on Instagram this year, but Reels are not everything. It's not the only kind of content that I post on Instagram, and it's certainly not the only strategy that I have. So if you really want to know all of the details around creating a super robust growth strategy for 2021, then you should definitely check out this video. This is my Instagram strategy for the year. I think you're going to find it really interesting and really helpful. But before you head over there, make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any of my future videos. I post videos like this about Instagram strategy and social media marketing every Friday. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you over in this one. Bye.